Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our last installment of the day for the OT Solix Partners Expo. It's our fifth virtual expo, and we were thrilled that we had so much interest in the this year's expo, and obviously thank you so much for your continued support. Today, Cassia is presenting two modules. We're presenting PriSM privileges security module, and we are presenting as well our content quota manager. And today we have Rabbi El-Hus. He is a partner with Cassia, and he'll be presenting both modules. We will take questions and answers after each module, and each module should take about 30 minutes, and we should be done by 4 o'clock Eastern. Okay, so we'll start right away and get into it. Over to you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Sean. I'm just going to share my screen. I have just a quick short presentation about each module. So I'm just going to talk about Content Quota Manager first. Content Quota Manager is a content server module, works in Smart UI and in Classic. It's a module that helps manage storage and content server. So, for example, what users can add to their personal workspace, or any container, any volume type object, or any container. Most commonly used for personal workspaces. Also, functionalities does some operational quotas. So, limit if a container has more than X number of items from copying, deleting, moving, or applying permissions to it. Same thing, limits on the project outline. You do have some exemptions for group for operational quotas. So, if you can set the sim limit, users can only move folders with 50 items in them, but you can set a group and say, well, this group can move 1,000 items. And then we can also have server exemptions. So maybe we want to exempt a server from being part of the quota, the operational quotas or the storage quotas. Say, well, if they go on a backend server, they can upload content and move it around. So I will go through these functions to show each function in the system, and we'll take questions at the end. So the first, I'm just going to I'm going to just open them two screens. On the left, I am logged in as an admin, so I'm just going to show you some of the configuration of the module. So in Quota Manager, first thing to look at is when you create a quota. And right now I've created one quota, which is limiting. What I've said is, in the personal workspace, have a soft limit of 5 megabytes and a hard limit 11 megabytes. So a soft limit, what essentially means is, if they're closing on the 5 megs, you can do in gigs. I put 5, notify the owner, and if they reach the hard limit, which is right now 11 megs, fail the operation. And this one applies strictly to a personal workspace. You can also apply it to specific containers, but for the purpose of this demo, I've just applied it to our personal workspace. Further in the menu of the Quota Manager menu, so we just really just going over some of the menu items. You can run the agents, just like scheduled agents, to check for the statistics and send out Quota Manager notifications at specific times during the day. Typically, most customers, what they're doing is they're sending it every day of the week and in the morning, so that way the folks don't get inundated all day. I mean, you can set it more, but 8 o'clock is a common time. Next thing in the Quota Manager configuration is the operational quotas. So this is where you set what users can do, what operational users can do, what the limit is. So right now, for the purpose of this demo, I've set 10 items. If a container has 10 items, it will fail. 10 items or more will fail. And I haven't set it. I will set an override as part of a group, so I can show how the override works. And the last thing is the additional parameters, just to show the additional parameters. And what this is allows you to look at what the kind of items that you want to have, as managed containers. Decision is also if you want to include thumbnails as part of the data size calculation. So when things are added to content server, there's thumbnails that get generated. Do you want to include the thumbnails as part of the calculation? And this is where you can, I only have one server, but if I had an exempt server that I want to exempt it from having any of the quotas, I can add that here. And this is the email notification that gets out to the user. So it's customizable. It's got a few parameters, replacement parameters they can use, but it's a customizable email that they can use. So I'm going to log in. I'm going to change to my user. So I'm logged in as my regular user account. I'll go to demo area. First I'll go to my personal workspace. Sorry, I'm trying to go and do it too fast. So in my personal workspace, right now I've got about 6 megs worth of content. So I'm well below the 11 megs that I needed to add. So I can add, I can add a small document here. Oh, sorry, it already exists. 1 second. I can add, the document. I'll just keep on going. So I've got, right now I'm close to my 5 megs because it's not exactly, the calculation is just estimate what it shows you here. But if I was to add either through drag and drop or through the add item menu, something that is quite large. So I'm going to pick this 7 meg item. When I add it into the system, so this is a 7 meg file. So what it'll say that I've exceeded the 11 meg limit for the personal workspace. If I was to do this by drag and drop, Enterprise Connect or code, what I will do is I will just drag and drop the same thing. I'll drag and drop a large item. So here's 4 meg item. I'm already close to my limit. It will show the same message. Oh, PDF. Okay, let me just grab another one. Sorry, guys. I should have thought about it differently. I'm going to add this PowerPoint. The message I'll get that I've exceeded my personal quota. So this is because I've set it to 11 megs. And when you do the calculation, I'm already over. If I delete items, I will fall under my quota. Next thing is the operational quotas. So for example, I've set my right now, if I go back, I've set the copy at 10 items, the delete at 10 items, the move at 10 items, and the permission at 10 items. So right now, this items I have 11 items in here. So I'm going to attempt to copy this into the destination. I'll get a message that contains more than 10 items, so I can't do the move. The reason we did this, we had a customer that was moving a lot of content, so the users were not limited, moving a lot of content. In Content Server, you only have the ability to restrict the number of items that can be moved, not copied and deleted. I mean, so you can stop and delete a structure, but not by the number of items in that structure. So this item, this is a source has 11 items. So if I pick anything over, it'll give me the same message, and the same applies if I try and apply permissions to a group, a folder that has more than these 10 items. So it contains more than 10 items. Can't push permissions down to it. Now, if I take my account for this and I add them to an exempt group. So let's do that. Just going to get my user account. I'm the all group, so I'm just going to add them to I'm going to exempt the all group from having any restrictions. operational quotas, an override, and so I'm going to leave everything as the same, but I'm just going to bump up the copy. So bump it up to 1,000. So everything else is going to stay, and I still won't be able to leave. I'm just bumping up one component. So I'll go back to my user. So now that I've bumped up the copy, should be able to click copy. So this should work. I'm going to copy it to the destination. I have more than 10. I had more than 10 items. I was allowed to copy them. But I still, if I go to this destination, I try and delete, because even though I'm a member of that group, I didn't do an exemption. It won't let me do more than 10, but I can still copy the 10 items, more than 10 items. That's pretty much the extent of this module. It's really made for operational quotas and for personal workspace sizes. Why for the personal workspace size? Why it was done is there's a lot of people leaving in apartments and leaving a lot of items in a personal workspace, and someone had to clean it. So folks started to putting it in just to limit the size. The last one I just did, their personal workspace was 2 gigs, so that's what they allow, and the user allows to leave in the personal workspace. And then they move that content to a central location when a person leaves, but their limitation was 2 gigs. That's been about the average for personal workspaces is 2 gigs. The operational quotas, what I've seen, one customer just did, so I'm just going to go to the operational quotas again. So they left the limit for moving content, copying content to deleting at 500, and then for their administrators or their I'll call them information managers, they set it at 1,000. But there were certain groups, like multiple groups, that maybe had a little bit more the size. They could, because you can have multiple groups. You can say, well, one group can have a copy 1,000, but not move more than 10. But the general users, they gave them 500. And then they, depending on the business unit, they gave additional rights to information managers or information administrators. The next one I will be going through is PriSM. So this one is privilege security management. Gives granular level privileges on object creation. So for example, you can say that folders can only be created in the personal workspace, not in the enterprise. And just in the case what I just happened, I tried to copy a folder, but I had put a restriction on it. I totally forgot about removing it. Or you can say no live report except in the live report volume, or no category except from the categories volume. Those two live reports and categories are a little bit pet peeve of mine. If someone has, sometimes you'll see live reports everywhere, or you'll see categories created not just in the categories volume, anyway the person has. They'll create categories or live reports. The other component is document type restriction, no exes, no .bat, or no whatever extension that you decide to put in the system. It kind of limits it. Now, it doesn't do an interrogation of the file, like a write deep inside the file. So it's just basically whatever the extension is, it limits strictly by the extension. We also have the functionality to retain permissions on move. When folks move content, we can either have the choice of retaining the permissions from the source. So I will proceed with a demo. I'll go through the admin pages first, and then I will go through some of the settings. So the first thing is I had 4 rules. I removed 2 of them, but so I'm going to create, my first rule is going to be no folders except for the enterprise, except for in the personal, no folders in the enterprise workspace. So if I just go show you myself as a regular user, if I go right here, because I have the privileges, I can go in here and I could create a folder and go to my demo area. I still have the ability to create a folder. So what I'm going to do is just going to restrict that. No folders except for personal workspace. So no folders into the under the enterprise volume. So prevent users from creating this. Everyone, including the admin, or you can say members of, or everyone except members of this group. So right now I'm just going to do it for everyone. I'm just going to name the folders. And I'm going to put the enterprise workspace. So based on this, if I go back to my enterprise workspace as a regular user, oops, sorry. Where's my screen? Oh, there we go. So I am on the enterprise. Before I had the ability to create folders. Now it has disappeared. There's no more folder ability in here because out of the box with Content Server, you in the object you use privileges, either you have the ability or you don't have the ability. You can't control where you can create it. It's either on or off. If I go my personal workspace, you'll see I have the ability to create folders. If I take this a little bit further, in this, I can say, so if I said no folders in the enterprise, and I'm also going to say, now I'm going to create a rule where I want to say only documents and emails can be created in a server folder. Let's say you're doing a contract folder where you don't want people to create anything else but documents and emails in this folder. You don't want them to create folders, you don't want them to create shortcuts. Maybe it's a contract, specifically a contract folder. So I'm just going to call it only documents and emails. So everyone included in meet. So I'm going to limit it to these. So only limit it to these kind of objects. Document. And what I'm going to do is limit it to a specific area. So in this folder, the present demo area, only documents or emails are allowed to be created in this folder. So as I go down, I will show you that. And what I'm going to do one more, since under the enterprise, if I'm going as my account, before I show them, I'm just going to select create all the rules. If I'm under the enterprise, you'll notice that I can't, if I go in the demo area, PriSM demo, I still can't create folders. But under this folder, I want to allow users to, maybe information administrators, knowledge managers, to start creating at this level and below. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow them to do that below this item. So what I'm going to do is restore the privilege. Right now, you see it's not there. I'm going to go and create a rule to restore from this folder and below for folks with the permissions to start creating content. Maybe it's maybe at this level is where you give the business units the permission to create folders, but it can apply to folders or different items. So I'm going to create a rule. So folders, I'm just going to create a folder. Restore access to these. And I'm going to browse what folder where I'm going to restore from what level down. So I'm restoring folders under this level. So I'm going to add item. I'm going to go back as a regular. I'm going to go back as my regular user account. So there we go. Perfect. So I'm on my PriSM, my demo area. You'll notice I can't create folders here, but I can, if I do a duplicate, I can create folders in my personal workspace. It's been restored. We'll go back to our PriSM area. If I go in the only document, because I said that's the only thing in this folder, I'm only allowed to create documents and emails. I've only got the ability to create documents and emails. And it really works for contract folders where that's the only thing you want them to create. And if I go back and, an assumption that in this area, this is the third level down, you got 3 levels down from the enterprise. That's where you want to allow the business units to have more control over creating folders, or maybe users can go do their folder sprawl. So now when I go into this folder, you'll notice that the ability to create a folder has been restored back to me. So you can limit what can be created where, as opposed to just the usage privileges in Content Server, where it's so out of the box in Content Server, which you guys are aware of. It's just the ability to objects privileges. You could either create have the ability to create an object or not create, but you can't say where you can do that. So with Cassia, allows you to have pick the ability to where to create an item. The next thing for this module is the document restrictions. So I will just show you document restrictions. So just for the purpose of this, I just said, you know what, no PDFs can be added into the system, regardless. Now you can exempt the administrator group. So if I had a group, right now by default, the administrator group has the ability to create PDFs, just for this example, but I can put .exe, DLL. So the common ones people put in here are DLL, PSTs, EXEs, temp files, because you want people to upload TMP files, MSIs, JavaScript files, anything that's really applications that you don't really want in the system. But the most common ones are these ones. For the purpose of today, I'm going to leave it at PDF, just so I can have lots of PDFs. I want to make it quick, not picking different ones. And I'm not an administrator, but if I had been an administrator, I would be exempt from this setting. So I'm going to go back as my other account. So this is my account. I have the ability to restrict folders, restore folders as before. I'm going to add an item. And I'm going to add a PDF. So I can't add one for this purpose. I can't add an item with a PDF extension. This will also work with drag and drop. So if I grab an item, grab a drag, just find a PDF. There's a PDF right there. If I drag it into here, it will fail just the same. If it was done through Object Importer, Enterprise Connect, or Code, it will still fail. Now, if I take my account and change it to an administrator or put myself in the administrative group, this will be overridden, and I can be able to upload content. So if I make myself an administrator, now as this user, and add a PDF, open, and now I'm able to add content into here. Couple of other minor features of this, but only work in Smart, in Classic View, is that when you're adding content to a folder, so it doesn't matter what I'm adding right now, you'll be able to surface the permissions that are in that folder, and you're able to modify them if you have the permissions. Again, you have to have permissions to do this. So if I want to add a group onto here, I'm able to add them on the fly as I'm adding content into the system. And this particular function was done for one customer. It's called Clear Public Access. So what they've decided that for them is, if this checkbox is checked off, that means the public access on any folders or any content that's saved in the system will be deleted, or just in case someone inadvertently restores it, or if it had it before. They've gone further by changing the public access to a particular their all group, because they have an all group. So they said anytime this is checked off, Anyone with the whole department, all group is not allowed to be on the permissions. So that's what they've decided to do that. And keep on adding content that exists. There we go. Add. And one thing is beneficial is that if you're trying to move content also with this module, so copy or move, you can retain the permissions. What this does, it says if you're moving it to a destination, if you take the retain permissions, you're able to see what the permissions are at the destination and make changes. If you retain the permissions, what you're doing is you're keeping the permissions of the source when you go to the destination. A lot of what this happens in reorgs when they're reorging large structure. If you're reorging a structure or moving, a structure, it doesn't have to be large, but maybe a business unit, you move in across, you haven't had a chance to fix the permissions at the target, but you want to maintain them. This is what you would keep, is you would retain permissions on the copy. That was the last part, but if I'll take any questions if you have.
I don't have any questions, Robbie, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Neither do I, but thank you, Robbie.
Yeah.